Hi folks, it's Mike Murphy. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I install Directus in a Docker container on my hosting or VPS so I can future-proof my content organization and data. I have used and loved Airtable for many years to organize things like my content. I have no problem with Airtable. In fact, I love it. I just don't love paying $20 a month or $240 a year when there are open source free options that I can self-host on my hosting or VPS. I started looking for Airtable replacements that I could put on my hosting or VPS. I thought for certain I was going to use this one called NocoDB. That seemed like the perfect option. I didn't love NocoDB like I thought I was going to. The interface was just kind of a little clunky compared to Airtable, and I also was really turned off. It seemed like everything that I clicked was a paid feature that I wasn't able to use, where the focus was trying to get people to pay for an upgrade. BaseRow was beautiful. It looked just like Airtable. I liked it a lot more than NocoDB, but then I started finding these little locks. Little things in BaseRow that were just trying to get me to upgrade, and it was kind of a turnoff. I also looked at Grist as an Airtable alternative, and I actually really like Grist. I was focused on finding an alternative to Airtable, something that was just as good as Airtable. But I wasn't really thinking, is Airtable actually the best way that I can store and organize all of my content and my data? Directus came out of left field for me. I had never heard of it. I was talking about NocoDB and BaseRow and kind of what I was trying to do, replacing Airtable, and Gemini said, "You might like Directus." When Gemini explained Directus and why it actually might be a really smart and forward-thinking way for replacing Airtable, a light bulb went off. It's like I saw all of my content that just sits idly in Airtable come to life. Directus sits on a Postgres database. It's like a filing cabinet, only I own it. It has a bunch of API holes in it, so it acts like a switchboard, and basically all of the AI modern digital tools are able to talk to my Directus database. It's not so much the tool, but it's the concept of how I can manage and organize my data, and I'm going to give it a shot. I'm installing Directus with a Postgres database in a Docker container on my hosting or VPS. I have a Claude Code skill that is going to do that for me. I am not going to expose Directus publicly, so I'm not going to be able to access it in a web browser to keep things private and secure. Instead, I'm going to lock it down and access it on my Tailscale private network. Link in the description all about Tailscale. But with Tailscale, I will be able to access Directus and all of my content on any device, such as my phone, my iPad, anywhere that I have Tailscale installed, I'll be able to connect to Directus. I'm going to copy the prompt that I'm going to give to Claude Code. Now, even though Claude Code isn't going to install anything locally on my computer, I still like to launch Claude Code from a project folder. That way, if I want to, I can tell Claude Code to generate a README file, and it's going to be in the right directory. So in my home directory, I created a folder called VPS Docker. So to launch Claude Code in Directus, I'm just going to right-click on that folder, go to Services, I'm going to choose New Terminal at Folder. That launches a new terminal window, and it placed me inside the Directus directory. So now I'm going to launch Claude Code, CLAUDE, tap Return. First, I'm going to tell Claude Code to connect to my hosting or VPS over the secure SSH protocol. So to do that, I'm just going to say, connect to my hosting or VPS over SSH, and Claude knows what to do. Claude is connected to my hosting or VPS. And now I'm going to paste in the prompt telling Claude Code to install the Directus on my VPS. So I'll paste it in, tap Return. Claude is reading my skill. It is a VPS Docker internal. The internal one locks it down and keeps it only on my Docker network. So my Docker network is called AppNet. So Directus will join the AppNet network, so all of my Docker containers can talk to each other, but they're not going to be available or accessible externally to the public. Directus is deployed and healthy on the VPS. Nice. Directus is the app. That is going to be the interface that I interact with, but the Postgres database is in its own separate persistent volume. So when I want to update the Directus app, I'm not worried about my data because they're separate. So I've signed in to my Hostinger VPS dashboard. I'm going to go to the Docker Manager. First, I'm going to go to Catalog and just point out, if you do a search, dir, there you will see Directus. Directus is a powerful headless CMS that wraps any SQL database with a dynamic API and provides intuitive admin app for managing content. Built for developers and non-technical users alike because it has such a good interface. It offers complete flexibility over data modeling, API access, and content management workflows. Well, all you have to do is simply click the deploy button. It's a one-click install on Hostinger. And if you're wondering, why don't I just do it this way? Why did I use Claude? Claude just follows all of the naming conventions and the setup that I have with all of my other Docker containers, so it's just consistent, and Claude also checks everything from end to end. It's just a little more thorough with Claude. There's a volume for Directus, and there is the database. Separate volumes. 8055 is the port that I'm going to use in my Tailscale address to be able to connect to Directus. Then if I scroll down and click the YAML editor, that's going to open up the Docker Compose YAML file. This is basically the blueprint for Directus, and Claude handled all of this with the install in the Docker container. In the secret information like passwords to the Postgres database and to the account, which I'm not going to show you, but that's located below the Docker Compose YAML file in the environment box, which you'll also see listed as a .env file. So the Postgres password, the Directus key, the Directus secret, and the admin password are all in this environment box. I'm going to launch the VPS terminal and just check the status of Tailscale just to make sure that it's running on the VPS. First, let's check and confirm that the Directus Docker containers are up and running. So to do that, I'll type in docker space ps tap return, and there I can see all of my Docker containers. There is Directus, and sure enough, it was created 22 minutes. Its current status is up, so it is running, all good. I'll tap clear to clear out the terminal window. Now to check the Tailscale status, I'll type Tailscale space status, tap return. Hostinger is up and running, so all good to connect to Directus on the secure Tailscale network. Remember, 8055 is the port that I'm going to use with the magic DNS for my Tailscale network. So in a web browser, HTTP, don't put the S at the end, ://. I'll do that Hostinger VPS, the front part. Then at the end, I'm going to put a colon and now the port number, which is 8055. Fingers crossed. That should take me to Directus. Tap return. Bingo. I'm going to sign in with my email address, and the password, remember, is in the environment box. So in the Hostinger dashboard, go to Docker Manager, go to Projects. You're going to go to Manage for Directus. You're going to click on the YAML editor. You're going to scroll below the top Docker Compose file. And then you're going to go to the environment box and copy the admin password. I'm going to click Sign In. I'm going to save it to my 1Password. Now the free self-hosted plan is called the Core plan. So you can click that option and click Save. But I want you to look at the paragraph above where it says Have a License Key. If you make under $5 million a year, well, you might qualify for the Open Innovation Grant. I clicked on this and I actually applied for it. You get approved instantly. It gives you a key, and that key is going to give you unlimited everything for free on Directus. We did it. Success. Directus is installed on my Hostinger VPS in a Docker container along with a separate volume for a Postgres database. This is sitting on top of the database, which is where all of my content from Airtable and all of my future content is going to live. Now, it is easy to import CSV files from Airtable, but there is not an easy importer from Airtable to Directus like there was with NocoDB and BaseRow. But if you ask your favorite AI assistant like Claude, Codex, Grok, Gemini, etc., they will be able to connect your Airtable to Directus using an API and just do everything for you. Codex helped me with the entire migration process from Airtable to Directus, and this is a look at raw data in Directus, and I'm currently in light mode. So this is what it looks like in Directus, and this is the same table in Airtable. Here is the same table in Directus in dark mode. Now, I just rebuilt my entire website that I've had on WordPress for 10 plus years. It's not done yet, but I would love for you to go check it out. It's at mikemurphy.ai. I built my new website on the Astro framework, which is very modern and cool like Directus. So Astro and Directus will be able to talk to each other, and I'll be able to work with my data from Directus right into Astro. I realize that Directus is probably not going to be for a lot of you, and I honestly have no idea if it's even going to work for me. I will let you know though as I start using it. If it's something that I think is useful, I will absolutely make tutorials about Directus in the future. And if you are looking for an alternative to Airtable because you're tired of paying the monthly subscription and you want to self-host it for free on your Hostinger VPS, the self-hosted Airtable alternatives that I would tell you to check out, number 1 is BaseRow and number 2 is Grist. And if you want to check them all out and see how they work on your Hostinger VPS, well, sign into your VPS dashboard, go to the Docker Manager catalog, do a search. BaseRow? Yep. Grist, G-R-I-S-T. In the Docker catalog, there's Directus. And if you want to check out NocoDB, all available for free, one-click deploy on Hostinger VPS. So that is how to install Directus on a Hostinger VPS in a Docker container using Claude Code for help. My name is Mike Murphy, your AI handyman. Cheers.